And the tension certainly has been building here over the last few minutes. We're about 10 seconds away from the start. Little George Fury has pole. Harvey starts outside of the front row. They're racing. Harvey wins the jump very cleanly too. And it's Glenn Seaton who comes up very quickly into third. And Dickie Johnson made a very good start. Jimmy Richards being muscled out there on the back behind them as they head down the front straight, and I think it could be Seaton on the outside as they stretch it, going down into the right-hander at Valvoline. Just look at this.
It's Fury on the outside, Fury dropping back into second, then Seaton. John Bowe came up very quickly in car number 4, Graham Crosby next, Dick Johnson, Peter Brock and Robbie Francevic really copying a bad one. So John Harvey, the leader of the 7th round of the Australian Touring Car Championship, as they crest the top of the hill.
Coming down to Coca-Cola, and they sweep through here, working their way onto the back straight away. Harvey will lead it. Georgie Fury in second. His Nissan teammate Glenn Seaton is back in third. Then the first of the Volvos, followed by Graham Crosby, Dick Johnson and Peter Brock. Coming down now towards Glowweave Corner, and Harvey in the second of the mobile dealer team Commodores, looking sharp. Big crowd on the hill as they come out of Glowweave Corner and now work the front straight with 59 laps remaining. The first lap down, and the Commodore fans have gone quite wild with excitement on the hill. Harvey leads them across the strike. Fury in second, Seaton, then of course John Bowe ahead of Graham Crosby, and here comes a charge down on the inside by Seaton. Brock is there, and sitting behind Brock is Dickie Johnson.
An intriguing battle, this one, on a new circuit, 2.4 kilometres. Very, very hard on brakes, a 1 kilometre long straight, and it is over 60 laps. That's almost 1 hour of racing, and it will take its toll on not only tyres but also brakes. And that will be the thing, whether or not these heavier Commodores can withstand the pressure being served up to them by the lighter, more nimble and obviously very quick Nissan Skylines and the Volvo.
Well, I tell you what, Harvey's going for broke.
Yeah, certainly proving that his front row qualifying position was no fluke.
Apart from the fact having John Harvey having very good racing talent, and he has had for many, many years, Neil Lowe has been in this car for the last couple of weeks. You recall that Harvey didn't run at Surfers Paradise. Lowe has been, and there's Francevic in trouble. Robbie Francevic in real strife in car number 10. He's pulled off the circuit.
The sign says Volvo in sports, and I think Volvo in trouble. Robbie Francevic, the series leader, and this is exactly what George Fury had been aiming at, that Robbie Francevic wouldn't finish one of these rounds. And at the points count back later in the season, you drop your worst performance, and that makes Fury start to look good for a challenge on Robbie Francevic.
I was about to say that Neil Lowe has done weeks of chassis testing with this car number 3, while they gave the car a bit of a holiday from the 6th round at Surfers Paradise, and the brilliance of that engineer has made this car super sharp this weekend. And look at the comparison of car number 3 by comparison to Peter Brock's 05 vehicle. There's Francevic being pushed off in the background, just coming up to that chicane, and David Oxton there lurking in the background in the Ford Sierra Turbo. He's also doing very well.
Fury getting close to Harvey's tail here as they come up on the Coca-Cola S's and head towards Glowweave Corner once more. Glenn Seaton sitting in behind them. Then Graham Crosby, who didn't get the best of the start, followed by John Bowe, Peter Brock, Dick Johnson, David Oxton, and then Jim Richards.
Harvey working the front straight. Here comes Fury, lining him up. Goes for the inside. Harvey appears. Has he got him covered? George Fury carries on. Looks for the inside run, going down to Valvoline. And here they come, under brakes. George Fury, car number 30, pole sitter for this Coca-Cola Cup race, disputing the lead with John Harvey, and Fury now goes through to lead round 7 of the national title.
They're doing a genuine 160 miles an hour at the end of that straight. A hard stop through the right-hander, very gently easing on the power as they come to the top of the hill. All the leading drivers saying they had wheel spin right to the very tip of it. And then through here it is flat out in 4th gear. The good guys not lifting at all, and then back on the old circuit.
So Fury in car number 30, the Peter Jackson Nissan Skyline, comes down to Coca-Cola Corner. There's Crosby, a little out of shape, but he's sitting right in behind Glenn Seaton, the second of the Nissan Skylines, number 15 on screen at the moment.
Then Graham Crosby, and then Peter Brock, who's got past John Bowe to take up station in 5th place on the racetrack now.
They work the front straight again, and George Fury holding probably 3 car length lead over John Harvey.
Good effort there by the 4th placed getter, the red Commodore, Graham Crosby, who didn't get the best of things at the start, got shuffled back to about 7th or 8th position, and has come through now to take up 4th.
Glenn Seaton looking as though he means to pass Harvey.
And I'll tell you what, Crosby's looking as though he means to pass Seaton.
Once again, they work their way up the hill. They drop off and head down to Coca-Cola after coming from Valvoline, the U-turn at the end of the front straight.
Actually, they go close to the edge through that new section there. One slip and you're gone. Nose to tail, Fury, Harvey, Seaton, then Crosby.
Graham Crosby's in the thick of things. They come out of the turn and work their way onto the front straight. And there's the gap, the first four in the field. George Fury in the Nissan Skyline. There's Graham Crosby sitting in behind Glenn Seaton as they work their way. And there's Seaton making a move once again on John Harvey on the inside. Down the long front straightaway here at Calder. Once again, Seaton is outfoxed by Harvey as they make it to the right-hander.
Seaton maturing very quickly at the wheel of this Nissan Skyline. He's now waiting for the right opportunities to come through to him, and there's the shot again from Graham Crosby's 7 Sport race cam through the new S's. Look how close they go to those enormous tractor tyres until the curbing's been put in place here for the new track. Over the hill, listen to the engine. Flat strap through the chicane, and whether or not Crosby can reel in the flying turbo remains to be seen. But Graham, for the first time today, running new 16-inch Dunlop radial tyres on the Commodore.
I tell you what, Harvey's closed it up on George Fury, though, as they make their way down to Glowweave Corner again. A much better lap through here. We'll see if Harvey sits in on the tail. There's Crosby going through.
I'll tell you what, back behind this quartet, Bow and Brock are having quite a scrap, and Bow's got by Brock again.
Here comes Glenn Seaton working the outside this time on John Harvey.
He'll need luck. He's not going to get close enough. Harvey maintains second place behind Fury. Then Seaton, then Crosby, then John Bow, who's regained 5th place from Peter Brock. Some slower traffic there already.
Harvey works the hill. They all manage to get through, the slower car staying off the course, not on the racing line. A bonus for the front runners. And another one. Down the back straight, John Harvey on the inside. He's taken it. Here's Seaton. Moves right up behind George Fury. Crosby has done a bit of Neville Crichton rallycross. He'll join the circuit again off the grass.
Hasn't lost a place, but has lost some ground.
Well, that's rather strange because Fury last time was that much quicker down the front straight than John Harvey. We'll see if Fury's able to take Harvey back
and
once again.
Side by side again as they come down the straight, and Fury has a glance over through the left passenger side window and goes through into the lead in the Nissan Skyline. Harvey on the outside under brakes, and the braking ability of the Commodore surprising me. Side by side through Valvoline Corner, somebody has to give, and George Fury comes out in the lead.
Magnificent move that from Harvey, and held position right on the outside of Fury. Fury once again goes out of Coca-Cola, up over the hill. Harvey in hot pursuit. Seaton is the next one back, followed by Graham Crosby, and then John Bow and Peter Brock.
The dealer team, and Harvey getting a little sideways as he came through the chicane extremely quickly that time. My comment then was going to be that the dealer team are very happy with their 17-inch Bridgestone tyres they're running this weekend, because they're running something like 10 to 15 degrees C cooler than they would normally do, which tells you something, and that is that obviously the track temp is much lower than we've had throughout the Touring Car Championship, but the way they've refined the suspension on this car, it's not working as tyres nearly as hard.
Well,
and now Seaton with the opportunity of going through on the inside of Harvey, and can John Harvey withstand this sort of pressure?
Having a little look over to the right, Harvey says, okay, let's do it under brakes. But Seaton has the run for the turn. No, he's outfoxed by Harvey. Harvey having a great drive here in the Mobile Commodore number 3, running in second. Fury managing to pull away just a little from Harvey that lap. This is where the action is in the race. Back and forth, John Bow. 5th is Peter Brock.
I'll get the stopwatch out on George Fury and get some indication of just how hard they're pushing, bearing in mind that Fury qualified in a time of 61.23, half a second faster than John Harvey.
Harvey really working at the wheel too, down to the right-hander at Glowweave.
8 laps gone in the race, coming up on 9 laps.
Crosby a little closer this time to Glenn Seaton.
Harvey keeps dropping his rear left wheel off into the dirt all the time. That's something he can't afford to do. Through the eyes of Racecam, we see the manoeuvre being made by Glenn Seaton down this very quick straight, but he can't get away with it that time.
I think Glenn might be a little gun shy after the last couple of races. Had some trouble at Sandown and, of course, at Surfers. I don't think he probably wants to make a bold move and have everything fall apart.
Oh, look at Seaton on the brakes in the middle of a turn. You don't try and do that too often.
Coming up to the chicane. Watch how quickly they run through here. Right, left.
The news has also just come through to me that the man whose car we're looking through at the moment, Graham Crosby, is carrying a 1-minute penalty. I have not got confirmation of that. I don't know why.
I thought he blew the start. I don't think he jumped it. Oh well, that's the news. A 1-minute penalty apparently on Graham Crosby. But here's the battle for second and third. John Harvey and Glenn Seaton. Graham Crosby just on their tail, and John Bauer is closing up. So after 10 laps in this race, the top 10 positions, George Fury leads from, well, who's going to be second here out of this corner, Harvey or Seaton?
I think maybe Seaton, unless Harvey can go in deeper. No, it's Glenn Seaton who goes in. Very, very tightly indeed. So the Nissans are looking good for a 1-2 at this stage, with George Fury leading from Glenn Seaton.
Harvey in third place, followed by Graham Crosby, then John Bauer, Peter Brock, Dick Johnson, Jim Richards, David Oxton and Graham Bailey. They're the top 10.
And it's 1.9 seconds between the two lead cars at the moment. And surprisingly, the man who we thought may have moved through the field a little quicker, Peter Brock, hasn't done that.
13 laps down, 47 remaining. This is a battle, and Crosby pulls out to have a go under brakes. Can he get close enough? I don't think so. Harvey will hold station there, but John Bauer is coming in very quickly on the back of this pair.
Really sit back and enjoy the skill of Graham Crosby now via our 7-Sport race cam through these very tricky S's, and Crosby just pulling out. Always just seems to be in just the wrong moment, or wrong spot at the wrong moment at the moment. And as soon as he gets a chance to straighten up, it'll be interesting to see how he goes. You notice Harvey tapping his brakes through the straight, so there's already some temp coming up into the brakes in the car.
So Harvey works down towards Glowweave corner. Crosby all over him. And right back behind them, you can see now John Bauer going through, and Peter Brock has actually joined the freight train as well. There's Racecam looking out the back of the Systime Computers Commodore, and John Bauer closing slightly on Graham Crosby.
Perhaps even just a little more than slightly. He's pulled well away from Peter Brock, and he's right on the pace now. And look at Crosby. This time he's got a better run. Closes under brakes. There's the shot from Racecam. Harvey at the wheel working. Crosby locks a brake. Harvey back down through on the inside and manages to take the placing away from him once more. But look at Crosby unleashing the horsepower, and through again on the inside goes John Harvey. John Bauer in there as well. How did he survive that?
And John Bauer is now ready to roll towards the front. He's caught Crosby. Crosby may be held up by John Harvey, but Bauer wants to get on even terms, despite the fact he's got his front bumper almost falling off with the little Nissans.
I've got a feeling that Crosby's car is understeering just a little, or is driving very deep into turns. He seems to run very well wide in these tighter turns. Incidentally, George Fury lapping in 62.1 seconds, so that's just a second off his qualifying pace.
Right, here's a go.
Harvey, Crosby in 6, and John Bauer on the Valvoline Volvo, number 4.
They're holding down third, fourth, fifth on the racetrack at the moment, and barely more than 5 seconds separate the top 5.
Oh, what a manoeuvre. John Bauer with his head down and the tail of the Volvo up, goes through on the inside, and Crosby would not have known where he came from.
That gives you an indication of just how quick that Volvo is at the end of the straight here at Calder.
And the talent of John Bauer, the Australian driving champion in the Formula 1 class, or Mondial as we know it. His big chance this year with the Works Volvo team. And you can tell when he gets that head tilted forward that anything can happen. Next man on his list, John Harvey. Oh, look at Crosby. He's run wide in all sorts of strife. What'll he do this time? Oh, how did he survive that one?
Well, it gets you back out on the racetrack, but it cools the tyres down a bit too.
Keeps going in that direction. He'll end up on runway 27.
Not wrong, Waldo. Coming out of the bend now as they come the front straight away. Fury from this and about 2 car lengths back between those 2 cars, then 100 back to John Harvey, with John Bauer ready to strike. And I think Bauer will make his move here on the inside, and he does just that. Has a little look, and down under brakes he comes on Harvey. So John Bauer.
Well, that's just brilliant driving, and obviously the Volvo with the braking capability to back up the driver. The luckiest fellow on the racetrack has to be Graham Crosby. He's gone off twice and never lost a place in any of the manoeuvres.
They drop over the hill, coming down now to Coca-Cola corner, and John Bauer goes through, the number 4 Valvoline Volvo. Harvey sitting in behind him. Then Crosby has dropped off the pace. Brock picking it up to again on Crosby. A little smoke there, or whatever coming out the... well, it could have been a brake lock up on John Bauer's Volvo. Nothing to worry about as he comes down into Glowweave corner. Look at him picking up the front wheel. Bicycling through here, using a bit of rubber too as he got it loose.
He said to me yesterday with an enthusiastic smile, "I have never enjoyed my motor racing as much." He said the car has been sensational in practice. It's the older car. It's been running now for 3 seasons. It doesn't have the tricky water injection or the engine management system, but he is making it work hard.
Graham Crosby at the wheel of the number 6 this time Commodore with 40 laps remaining. He's in 5th place in the Coca-Cola Cup, round 7 of the Australian Touring Car Championship.
I tell you what, Graham looks busier than Hans Tholstrup on his off-road activities.
Well, it certainly is busy, but I'm a bit concerned. I saw a board held out with a 1-minute penalty. So I don't know what the hell's going on.
Well, our information is, Graham, that they've pinged you for jumping the start.
Oh, rubbish.
Yeah,
God, they've been picking on me all day.
Have they really?
Yeah, yesterday it was because I missed a checkered flag. And then, some other problem before, but they're just waiting to get their own back on me. I never jumped the start. I learned from last time.
Tell me this, you've had some interesting off-track excursions so far. It's been a bit thrilling.
Yeah, these things aren't too bad to drive when you got brakes.
Oh, it's like that, is it?
Yeah, I'm really having to use half the body as well, because I seem to have pushed the brake down and there's a big piece of steel under the bottom there, so I don't know what the hell's happening. I think I've got the brake bias is okay, but I don't think the front brakes are working as good as they should. And of course, the back brakes are working very good. So I have to go into the corners and the back seems to want to overtake the front all the time.
Cros, how are those new tyres working for you?
Well, they were new. Actually, I'm pretty lucky because the tyres that I've got on the car at the moment are the ones I started Surface Paradise with. So if anything, Brocky's done me a good turn. Hasn't cost me $1,300 for a set of tyres.
I said before, I reckon you're the luckiest bloke on the track. You've taken 2 excursions in the grass, but you didn't lose a place.
No, that's a trick round. You don't have to lose any time round here. Because the corners, when you do come off, they sort of coincide with where you get back on again. I'll just see if I get past this thing without... Well, thank you.
That makes life a bit easier, doesn't it?
Yeah, but hang on, I've got to get around the corner first.
Can you feel yourself making any ground up on John Harvey?
Oh yeah, but look at these other blokes. These Commodores really have a brake problem. And I notice I've got, John in front of me, but I've got Peter creeping up behind as well. Just as long as it stays there, I'll be happy.
What about the new circuit, Graham? You enjoying it?
Yep, I can verify that the grass is very slippery when you get off.
It's all part of the fun.
Yeah, it certainly is.
Well, you had bad luck, of course, in Surface Paradise with a no finish there. And where you're running on the road at the moment, I would think that the other Commodore drivers would be having similar brake problems.
Yep.
That was very good, Graham.
Oh, you like that?
Yeah, it was excellent.
Oh, there's another one. Yeah, that's a problem I can see with John. He's definitely got a brake problem. Now, I don't know what about Peter. He seems to be coming through. Now, I don't know whether he's got the same sort of problems as what I've got. Because I'm having to brake very, very early.
Unless,
he's right on your hammer now, Cros.
Oh, that's all I need for you to tell me he's there as well.
What about we let you go and get on with that for a while? We'll come back to you later.
Yeah, okay, no problem. I just have to make sure that Peter, when he does pass me, doesn't take one of his guards with him.
Good luck, Ross.
Okay, cheers.
Graham Crosby, race cam. There's George Fury. That little yarn he gave us then comes by virtue of the fact that he borrowed some front mudguards from Peter Brock because he couldn't buy any from any Holden dealers in the last couple of weeks. Spares are pretty tight at the moment. There's Fury leading from Glenn Seaton and John Bowe lurking in 3rd spot, and I might mention still closing the gap, and I'll get the accurate split for you as soon as I can.
Well, of course, Seaton got fairly close to George Fury a few laps ago, but the fact that Fury is chasing the Australian Touring Car Championship for the Peter Jackson Nissan team, and with Robbie Francevic out, the thing he didn't need was Glenn Seaton to pass him and win the race. So I'd say team orders are definitely on in the Nissan camp for this afternoon.
3.6 seconds between Glenn Seaton in second placing and John Bowe in third. And then the gap from John Bowe as the lead cars come through Glowweave corner to John Harvey is now 4.9 seconds.
There's Dickie Johnson. We just catch sight of him. He's having a great scrap of splitting cars, the slower ones.
He's in 7th place, Dick Johnson.
And running very, very well.
Yeah, and the man behind him, of course, is the defending touring car champion, Jim Richards.
Well, Jim, as you said before, just wait till they swing the camera around. That's it. There's Jimmy Richards. But Dick's been able to do a pretty good number on Jim Richards here today. It hasn't been the happiest of weekends for the JPS BMW team. Jimmy, of course, won this corresponding race last year after they all got into heavy metal with Robbie Francevic, his Volvo not looking the best.
They have had a lot of tyre problems, the JPS crew, this weekend. That's been the bugbear for them. And obviously they still haven't got it sorted out completely. But Dick Johnson's having a better run today than he's had for quite a while.
Well, I think his car is perfectly set up for this this racetrack, particularly down through this section. He loses out, obviously, in the horsepower race every time they hit a straight, but then he gets onto their bumpers again. They get down to the tight turns. Lap 25 of the Coca-Cola Cup, round 7 of the Australian Touring Car Championship from Calder.
This battle for 7th and 8th place. Remember that George Fury leads the race from Glenn Seaton, then John Bowe, John Harvey, Graham Crosby, Peter Brock. Then comes Dick Johnson, the man on screen, followed by Jim Richards, then the Chicken Man Graham Bailey and David Oxton.
Jim has now taken over 7th on the road, and of course Dick Johnson drops back to 8th. So Jimmy Richards, the man who won, as I said before, this round of the touring car title here at Calder last year, of having the best of seasons, having a pretty tough time. However, the BMW will become more competitive as they move to the endurance races and of course the James Hardy 1000. Jim using a bit of the entry play and leaves the same way as they come back onto the straight. We take pictures from race camp out of Dick Johnson's Palmer Tube Mills Motorcraft Mustang. There's Peter Brock in number 5, up to 6th in the race.
Yes, and closing up slowly but surely on Graham Crosby and John Harvey. Crosby, by the way, despite his brake problems, has got by Harvey, in fact, to move up another spot, so well done.
There's Brock going through in 0.5, and he's not too far back behind the race leaders. We'll pick them up for you on the front straight.
And he's having a big slide at the moment. The other thing that's interesting is John Bowe is now less than a second away from the back of Glenn Seaton's car, and there is Seaton in second placing, the leader Fury in car 30, Seaton in 15, and then John Bowe in the Volvo car number 4 will be the next car through. You'll see them as they come through this right-hander at Valvoline. There's the leader. That's the gap first to second, and there's the gap back to third place, John Bowe.
They work the top of the hill, just ahead of George Fury, coming up to put a lap on Colin Bond in the Ignis Alpha. Cole looks like he's run into a spot of bother. I would think a legacy of the opening laps of this race. As Fury comes down, the race leader with Seaton right behind him and Bowe closing.
Bondi's still doing pretty well, though, because he's a fair way in front of Tony Longhurst.
Just outside the top 10 on the racetrack, Colin Bond. There he goes through the damaged front to the Ignis Alpha. That's the last time we'll be seeing Bondi for a meeting or two. He'll miss the next round at Lakeside because he's off to Italy to have a look at the 2 new turbocharged Alphas that they're building.
Won't they be sensational?
Fantastic. There go the Nissan pair by Colin Bond, and here comes John Bowe in third spot.
Half race distance as we look at John Bowe. Graham Crosby having broke clear now of John Harvey and Peter Brock, so he's back on the mend again. So he's the highest placed Commodore, and he's a privateer.
Through Coca-Cola corner, Bowe in number 4 picked up the 2 Nissans very quickly, but keeping in mind they were also caught up in a bit of heavy traffic at the end of the back straight. It looks like they've caught them up again.
Brian Sampson there in the Starion, David Oxton in the Turbo Sierra, in fact blocking George Fury a little as they went through. There's Bowe in third place. He's going to have to deal with this traffic as well.
We'll see the split as they come onto the straight. And the traffic ahead of Bowe. There it is. David Oxton in amongst them. Oxton trying to get on behind Glenn Seaton's number 15 car, and Bow trying to split the pair of them. So Bow moves over for some clean air. Down on the inside line, takes Oxton.
So the leaders, the top three, have lapped the number 10 placed car on the racetrack. That's David Oxton.
A little closer this time, so Bow could well be the driver to follow in this race.
Thing that's surprising me, as you can see quite clearly on a number of our shots, John Bow is really sliding his car around, but he's still closing the gap. So obviously the tyres that he's using are capable of taking that sort of punishing and generating that kind of heat. But he's really right now onto the tail of Glenn Seaton. There's the gap.
This will be an interesting exercise for Glenn Seaton, actually.
Well, it's a real test of his skill, because not only does he have to follow his team leader, George Fury, and obviously try to perform as well as he can there, but he's got to keep John Bow out. Not only for George's sake, but for his own.
Bow quickly across to the inside, but Seaton, I think, has got him covered, at least on this lap, but Bow inexorably getting closer to the tail of the second Nissan.
Bow scored points in the Adelaide round of the championship.
Oh, he closed right up there under brakes, Bow.
And the Surfers Paradise round. Recall, of course, he had a did not finish result Perth round. So he's a fair way down in the championship with only 32 points. So this becomes a race in itself, a scratch race, if you like, rather than a championship battle for Bow. But he wants to prove a point. He was the winner of one of last weekend's AMSCAR touring car rounds.
He could also be the man to do the damage on the Nissan team, because Fury desperately needs to win this race to have any chance at all of taking the national title away from Robbie Francevic.
Francevic leads with 159 points, and Fury is in second with 102 points. That's the gap from second to third, and a glimpse there of the leader in the right-hand side of frame.
They come back onto the finishing straight, and there have been a couple of incidents in the field. We've noticed a couple of the cars go off. However, we've caught all of them for you. In the meantime, well, let's pick up on this particular incident at the end of AGC Straight. That's Murray Carter. Oops.
Drew Price in the front-wheel drive Corolla taking evasive action. Jim Richards goes through neatly. Likewise, Dick Johnson. So Drew coming off second best there in car number 11.
Well, Murray driving the unsponsored, I shouldn't say that, the non-factory Nissan. Meanwhile, back at the front of the pack.
The front of the pack is closing rapidly on the chicken.
Oh,
And
George has got it around sideways.
saved it. Oh, gee, that was a very narrow escape for the race leader, George Fury. Almost ran right up under the tail of Graham Bailey's car.
They come out of the bend. We'll see them on the front straight as we get the wide look at as they come across the line. And there is Fury in 30. Now, Fury, I would think, would have the message that Bow is starting to climb all over Glenn Seaton. Seaton wants to protect the lead that Fury's built up.
Well, I reckon Seaton's having a go, and he is.
He is now.
If George has got a problem, then he shouldn't hold back. He just should go for it. He'll regret it in years to come if he doesn't. So Seaton now in the lead, car 15. I think it's the first time this young fellow has led a round of the Australian Touring Car Championship, and what a fine job he's doing. George Fury back into second. The great shot of the cars come across the top of the hill. And look at Bow.
Straight down on the inside. Sorry, George. Bow's through. Their second spot goes to Volvo.
I reckon Fury may have some sort of problem.
Yes,
he wouldn't be that complacent normally. Graham Bailey there in the Chickadee Commodore behind. He's had some terrible handling problems all weekend. So John Bow on the move. Car number 4 in second position, having qualified in 5th position on the grid.
So Fury is back to third. Glenn Seaton now takes over the front running for the Peter Jackson Nissan team, and a handy lead too over John Bow, George Fury. That's the order. Then a long way back then to Graham Crosby in the number 6, this time Computers Commodore.
And Crosby has given both Harvey and Rock a real caning and continues to pull the gap away.
Well, considering he's had 2 off-track excursions, he's done very well. He's obviously got the right tyres.
Bow is using the new Dunlop radial, what they call DO6 soft racing compound.
The action is up front with 22 laps remaining in the Coca-Cola Cup. Round 7 of the Australian Touring Car Championship from Calder. Glenn Seaton on screen, car 15. The Nissan Skyline Turbo leads from John Bauer. And then Seaton's Nissan teammate George Fury, the man who had led the race for so far, but suddenly gave it up very quickly, first to his teammate, and he's also been passed now by Bauer, and Bauer is the charger.
Bauer and Howe, the cry went out.
1.2 seconds, Seaton to Bauer.
It's putting a lot of pressure on young Glenn Seaton. He's responding quite well. So we've got offline, driving very, very well indeed, but Bauer is just picking up ground all the time.
From George Fury in 3rd position back to 4th place to Graham Crosby, it is 9.6 seconds.
Crosby 4th, John Harvey still 5th. Team leader for the mobile crew, Peter Brock, is closing quickly on Harvey.
Here's Glenn Seaton.
Seaton's performances so far in the championship have been a bit topsy-turvy.
Well, he hasn't survived the first lap in plenty of them.
That's right, he didn't survive at all at Sandown. One way or the other had strife there. Had more problems in Adelaide when they were experimenting with new pistons in the Nissan Skylines, and they didn't work, obviously, because both of the team cars ended up parked in pit lane. He then finished 2nd at Wanneroo, over in Western Australia, and then a 13th from Surfers Paradise, where he tangled horns with Graham Crosby.
Once again, they head down to Glowweave Corner. This is where Bauer starts to pick up the inside front wheel on the Volvo. Little bicycle act through here.
Top 2 continue to lap in shade under 62 seconds.
Well, that's right on their qualifying pace, so there's no sandbagging going on at all.
20 laps remaining. Still 1/3 of the race distance to go, so there's plenty of time for things to happen.
One of the things that's really surprised me, Gary, is that other than Robbie Francevic, there has been a lack of drama. People haven't been dropping into the pits and running into one another, carving motor cars up.
Colin Bond obviously had a small mishap that damaged the front of his car. We saw Murray Carter take a harmless spin out. A couple of other cars were very careful to avoid him, but as you say, apart from Robbie Francevic, the retirees have been very few in number.
Particularly when you compare it to, say, Surfers Paradise, where there seem to be some wrecks all over the place. Got the clock on Glenn Seaton at the moment to see how his lap times are shaping up. John Bauer getting just a little bit closer all the time, and I think he's doing it fairly easily because the car is not sliding around nearly as much as it was in the early stages. So I suspect that John Shepherd, the team manager of the Volvo dealer team, is giving John Bauer plenty of the right sort of information, and they're now calculating their way to the checkered flag. Still a long way to go.
Here's Bauer putting a lap on Bob Holden. Bob moves to the outside, gives the front runners plenty of room. And Bauer once again closes up through Valvoline Corner. There's George Fury, still running a very solid 3rd as they head up the hill and down towards the next turn at Coca-Cola.
This engine of John Bauer's running 1.48 bar turbo boost on the engine, an engine built in Australia by John Shepherd. As I said before, not nearly as technically sophisticated as the engine used by Francevic. It lacks the water injection and the electronic management engine system, which constantly senses everything that's going on in the engine, because the big problem with these cars is they tend to detonate. And that's something that the team have been working hard on for the last couple of weekends. They're now obviously getting results. They are indeed also building a new car for John Bauer, which we expect to see in around about 7 or 8 weeks.
18 laps remaining in this race. Glenn Seaton leading, John Bauer, then George Fury. In fact, only the top 8 cars are now on the front running lap. That's Seaton, Bauer, Fury, Crosby, Harvey, Brock, Jim Richards and Dick Johnson, but I think Dick Johnson's going to find himself being lapped very shortly by Seaton and Bauer.
Computer printout tells me that Seaton is still the fastest man on the circuit, 61.4 seconds, and that's almost down to the pole setting time of George Fury, 61.23.
Well, you mentioned Dick Johnson. Might be in the firing line for the front marker shortly, but there's Dickie Boy, and we've got him on screen with race cam, and you've been having a good scrap with Jimmy Richards, Dick.
Yeah, sure have, Ratso. I tell you what, I don't know what else I got left. There's vacant field behind me and vacant field in front of me. I suppose the only thing that can go wrong now is I'll have to put a speedo in so Keaty can can get into me about this fringe benefit tax now.
We just want to know whether you're carrying your logbook, Dick.
I tell you what, I'm keeping the count on number of laps I'm doing. With the way those guys are catch me, I reckon we're going to be one short at the end.
Well, at this stage, it would appear that some of the Commodore drivers have had tyre problems. How are yours holding up?
Oh, they're just great. We haven't got a problem at all. It's been really good, because the only thing I think we might have a bit of trouble with towards the end is the old brakes are getting a bit mushy.
Yes.
You know, they're starting to feel like a spoon in a bowl of custard.
Well, I think the Commodores have felt the same way after about 12 or 14 laps.
Oh, that's bad luck, isn't it?
All right, it's a new layout here at Calder. What are your impressions of it?
Mate, it's good fun. It's a lot of the corners are very similar to the Adelaide Grand Prix circuit. There's no real high-speed corners anywhere. It's all very hard on the brakes and turn in very quickly and sort of power out of the corner. And that's probably why we did a reasonable time in practice.
Yes, everyone thought the new turn that you're going through at the moment might have been a bit narrow for the first corner, but everyone seemed to get through okay.
Oh, did they?
Yes.
I got a reasonable start for a change. But this is, you know, there's a bit dinky toy, but I don't mind it at all. Just those tractor tyres worry me a bit.
This is the bit I like, Dick, this chicane. Good fun?
Mate, that's ace, but there needs to be a bit tighter because I think a lot of guys are taking it for granted, you know, and they just sort of, what we call straight line it. To use a bit of the dirt on either way and sort of just go through dead straight.
I tell you what, when the ripple strips are in there, that won't happen.
Oh yeah? You want to bet?
They'll be bouncing from one side to the other, mate.
Yeah, exactly. And I tell you, they do that in Europe. They do it everywhere, but I'm buggered if I know how the cars can do it for 500 kilometres.
Yes. All righty, thanks for the ride around the circuit. We'll come back to you shortly. Hope you're hanging in there for what are you aiming for, a top 10 finish or a top 8?
Well, I tell you what, we can't be worse than 8 because I think there's a couple pulled out in front of me, so, you know, we're looking, I don't know where the hell we are.
Well, at this stage, running in 8, so that's not bad.
Really?
And daylight behind you.
Yeah, I tell you what, 8, 1 lap down, I think.
Well, hang in there, we'll come back to you later.
Thanks, pal.
Okay, mate.
15 laps remaining in this race for the Australian Touring Car Championship, the 7th round.
There's the man doing the leading, number 15, Glenn Seaton.
I think Bow would be starting to get a little worried, wouldn't you? I mean, he hasn't really made up that much ground the last 5 laps.
A little frustrated too.
15 laps, 2.5 kilometres, a fair way to go. Just watching Bow and keeping an eye on him. In fact, I'll get the watch on him to see how his lap times are shaping up. Certainly, he seems to have relaxed just a little. But I think the giveaway when John is charging is particularly that corner there coming out of Glowweave. He really gets it wound up sideways. That's something he's not doing at the moment. There's Dick Johnson. So, Dickie, you're wrong. You're still on the same lap as the leaders. So, chin up.
Not for long, though. Oh, well, what's happening to Bow? He's slowed very quickly going down the main.
Back at Calder Park for the Coca-Cola Cup. Here's our race leader, Glenn Seaton, coming down the back straight. John Bow in hot pursuit. Uh-oh, and Seaton's unloaded it. Deary me, the race leader has gone. And there goes John Bow through. So Glenn Seaton in car number 15 leading the race, not with too much pressure on his shoulders. Gets it around sideways. Fury's gone through. That will drop him at least back to 3rd on the road. And John Bow in car number 4, the Valvoline Volvo, has now gone through to take the lead and still trying to put that lap on Dick Johnson. Unbelievable.
Drew Price got tangled up in that as well in car 11. Sensational stuff. John Bow now the leader of round 7, the Coca-Cola Cup, the Volvo dealer team entry car number 4. And I've got the watch on him. He is now 1.7 seconds clear of George Fury. And
Seaton has got back on the track in 3rd place, just ahead of Graham Crosby, followed in turn by Peter Brock and John Harvey.
I've also got the clock on the gap from 2nd back to 3rd, and Seaton is 11.2 seconds further behind, and then the gap back to Crosby is a further 3.4 seconds. That gives you some idea of the splits between the top 4.
And Dick Johnson has now been lapped, as he feared he would be.
I guess the question to be answered is whether or not Fury can come back now. Whether or not Seaton was used to pace Bow a little quicker. Running to team orders, who knows? But there's Dick Johnson. He's being passed. Here's another one of the slower cars, 88. John White and the Gemini.
10 laps to go.
So White is passed by John Bow and the Valvoline dealer team Volvo. the Volvo dealers of Australia who've supported this team throughout 1986.
Incidentally, Peter Brock has now passed his teammate John Harvey, but is a long way behind Graham Crosby. There's the gap first to second. Fury at the top of screen. And it's pretty well a straight length back to the nearest man after that.
Dick Johnson goes in deep, but going in even deeper is George Fury in car number 30. So we've had almost an unbelievable situation of Glenn Seaton basically with a little pressure off his shoulders, and then something has gone wrong down the back straight. Whether or not he's hit a touch of oil and gone off, we don't know, but he unloaded the car down there in the rough. And that has put John Bowe in front, with obviously George Fury chasing.
Fury yesterday taking his 4th pole position so far this season. Results so far are second, 2
up the
first
front row
placings
in every race.
Yeah.
So that's a remarkable effort, and 2 race wins up his sleeve. And as we've mentioned already, with Robbie Francevic out of the race very early today, a win here today would really throw down a big challenge to the NZer from George Fury for the touring car title.
Here's Peter Brock in 05. Peter
5th place on the racetrack now.
5th.
Started very slowly, qualified, well, I was going to say slowly, that's not fair, 7th fastest, but he's making a very late move in the race, has just got past his teammate John Harvey, but as Neil Compton said, he's got a lot of ground to catch up on the leading division.
He's now 3.4 seconds clear of Harvey, and as you glance out the commentary box, it's physically half a lap between Brock and the leader John Bowe disappearing up the back straight.
Well, Brock and his team have been playing at setting their car up for enduro racing, particularly the 24-hour race at Spa the first weekend of August.
They're testing next Wednesday and Thursday out here for 26 hours with Alan Moffat, Neil Lowe, John Harvey and Peter Brock, 14 sets of tyres and back-to-back running. So that's going to be very interesting, but they're going to have to find just a little bit of pace, because at the moment the Volvos and the Nissans are hard charging. Brock locking up a front right as he goes through the right-hander at the S's. And just check the computer sheet, and the fastest man on the circuit still Glenn Seaton with a 61.4, but John Bowe now down to 61.57. So there's Graham Crosby and going through the shot, and there's the 2 dealer team cars. It's Peter Brock in car 05, and then John Harvey, the 2 Toyota dealer team cars there in the background. And there's Harvey, the man that led this race for a while, and his teammate Peter Brock again locking up a front brake. I think that it's brakes that's their big problem. I think the pace of the car is fine. The job that Neil Lowe and the team have done in setting up the handling has been tremendous, but they certainly seem to be having some worries getting into corners. Race has been going now for coming up to around about the 1 hour mark.
Well, the man who took pole position, George Fury, and is currently running in second on the track, in our pre-race interview said brakes will tell the tale here today. The car with the best brakes will win.
There's Brocky. And there's Bowe coming up to put a lap on Tony Longhurst in the BMW JPS 325. Tony has been very quick through this part of the circuit. We haven't seen too much of him in the race, but of course he's been down the back. And but on this part of the circuit, he's been brilliant to watch. Just look how close he is to Bowe, even as they climb up the hill. Now horsepower will come into play when they go through the chicane, and then of course he'll lose sight of John Bowe.
One fellow who apparently is having a few problems is Graham Crosby in car number 6. So as soon as we can, we might have a look at Cros and see what his problems are. And there's the man.
Cros, have you got problems?
Well, I've got all my instruments are telling me I'm in dire trouble. Well, this thing here, the differential temperatures, looks like it's gone round about 3 times. So I'm a bit worried about that. The G-box, Jeff, is not actually the glove box temperature, it's the gearbox temperature. I've got both pumps on, as you can see. And we've got water temperature, which is this one here. I don't know whether you can see it or not.
Yep.
Well, that's where it should be. I've got a red light flashing over the other side. And oil temperature up around 120, which is okay. And I've got no rear brake, so yeah, everything's going fine.
I notice you had your brake bias wound fully up to the front. That's to compensate for the rears, is it, Graham?
Now, I'll show you how I brake. I put the brakes on hard till there's nothing left, and then I just lock up the back brakes with the gearbox and go to slow it down a bit. It's not a very good thing, obviously, because of the differential and gearbox trouble that could arise out of it, but it's about the only way I can stop it.
That's lucky you're an old superbiker. You know how to do it tough.
Yeah, I hope this gearbox is harder and a lot stronger than old Kawasaki 1000 gearbox.
The red light that's flashing on the dash there, that's your oil pressure warning, is it, Graham?
Well, they say it's a warning, yes, but I'm not taking much notice of it now because I've only got, about 5 laps to go. That'll teach me to look. Got 5 laps to go, so I'm not really worried about it. It's been like that for a while. It'll, I don't know whether you can see it, but the actual, the temperature itself, the pressure, sorry, is, it's not too much of a problem because it runs about 125, 130 pounds or whatever it is before it actuates the stop switch.
Well, mate, you're doing a great job. You've still got a very healthy gap over Peter Brock in car 05, so you should be able to coast home from here.
Chuckle, chuckle, snortle, snortle. Good, whoop. I've got to get home yet.
You like a slide, Graham?
Oh, yeah, it's good fun. I haven't left any paint on any of these tyres yet.
All right, Cros, thanks very much for talking to us, and we'll look forward to seeing you a bit later on.
Okay, no problem.
There's Gary Rogers in the Bob Jane BMW number 34. Rogers position 11 at the moment, just out of the top 10, but he's been circulating quite nicely. There's John Bauer, ready to put a lap on Gary Rogers. And faithful Murray Carter is there with about 4 laps remaining in the Coca-Cola Cup with Scalder from Calder. What a finish we have coming up for the Coca-Cola Cup here at Calder with George Fury coming from nowhere in that last quarter lap. John Bauer has slowed appreciably coming through the bottom part of the course as they head up the hill. And Fury coming back through the field. There he is, car number 30. So Fury goes through to take the lead with about 2.5 laps remaining. The scrap between George Fury and John Bauer. Well, there wasn't a scrap, Neil Crompton. He just arrived and went straight past him.
I don't know how he did it. It was only a couple of minutes. There was a gap of around about 3 or 4 seconds between John Bauer and George Fury, and all of a sudden Fury made up an enormous amount of distance. Perhaps Bauer had a problem, or Fury decided to go on with the job. In fact, as I look out my commentary box now, I can tell you that Bauer's had some problems because he's dropping well away from the back of the lead car. There he is in the background. Now, the gap back to our third place, Glenn Seaton, is still fairly substantial. In fact, with all the panic on here, I'm trying to sort out some times. The last lap board has come out. This will be the most sensational finish of one of the rounds we've seen in a long time. George Fury, I think, is going to come home scot-free. And how he got away with that, I'll never know. And I guess that he's probably saying the same thing.
Well, Fury heads up the hill, drops down into the next turn of Coca-Cola, and easing away gradually from John Bauer. In fact, he's opened a huge gap up on John Bauer, who's still to come into sight. Last lap, the Peter Jackson Nissan Skyline of George Fury heads down to the right-hander, comes through here, down to Glow Weave.
It's 8.3 seconds from Fury to Bauer, but Bauer is coming under threat from Seaton as George Fury comes through Glow Weave corner for the last time at the end of 60 laps for round 7 of the 1986 Australian Touring Car Championship for the Coca-Cola Cup, and it'll be George Fury who takes the checker. Look back for the battle for second and third, and Bauer on the inside in the Volvo, and Seaton's rounded him up. Glenn Seaton in car number 15 will take second placing, and Bauer will finish in third. What a sensation.
Orchestrated finish, you would think, on behalf of the Peter Jackson Nissan team.
Graham Crosby will be in 4th position, Peter Brock will be 5th.
And closing all over Graham Crosby. In fact, Brock picked up a lot of ground in the last couple of laps. However, there's your race winner, George Fury, in car number 30. The Peter